Hi Leo, welcome to a spiritual pep talk. I've never done one of these before. This is the first month I'm doing it. This is for early May 2019, and I'm going to pick 3 tarot cards and 1 oracle card. The oracle card will be from Native Spirit Tarot deck, and I'm also offering this type of reading online. It's kind of like a mini tarot reading, an open tarot reading. Just I have a special introductory price for that. Just trying different things out and seeing if I can stretch myself and also just be, have as much variety as possible. Okay, just shuffling these cards because I've been doing these, a few of these today, a couple of these. Okay, I'm going to pick the top cards from each little pile here. Oh gosh, I've been getting the Tower card. So I wonder if this period of time in May is going to be a period of surprises. I'm going to pick the other card after I do these. I think I should have done that all along. But the first card we have here is the Lover's card, and this is a card that is looking at your relationships, especially, I would say, yeah, for sure, of the romantic variety. So, Leo, are you with someone right now? Do you want to be? And if you're single, what do you need to do to be the best potential partner for somebody else? Not what can they do for you. It's like, JFK, what can you do for your country? What can you, not what the country can do for you. What can you do for another person, not what they can do for you, the king or the queen, the royalty, Leo. And Leo is a very warm sign, so it's not like you don't have, and generous, so it's not like you don't have anything to offer, but sometimes you might get caught up in, and I think this is true, this is part of human nature, of like, hey, I want this, but not willing to consider what you should be doing for another person within a relationship. The Lover's card sometimes can be making a choice. So if you're somebody who is seeing multiple people and you just are kind of spreading yourself too thin, maybe that is creating a situation where you're just kind of being superficial and like the bee flying from flower to flower. Actually, with the Lover's card, this is about intimacy, and got to show that nudity, because that's representing, no clothes means no facade, okay? But everybody focuses in on the sexual connotation of this card, of consummating a relationship, which it can be. Like if you're seeing somebody and it's still, just kind of like casual dating or something, and then you take it to that level. But you know what? Let's get real here. When you, quote, take it to that level, what is that level? If you think that by having a sexual relationship with somebody that this means that now you are a couple and you are going deeper, it might be an unpleasant surprise to discover that that doesn't mean, guarantee that the relationship is deepening because you're having sex with that person. So remembering that part of it. And the next card I got was the Tower card. I've been talking about what the Tower card means, which is beyond calamity, but can be release. It can be like everything pent up, and then there is that cathartic experience of like everything coming out. So an example would be, even if you're not having an affair, but you're just in a marriage where you feel like that you're not valued, you're not cherished, and there's this seething resentment from within you, and then something triggers you and you just go all out, go off about it to that person. And that person may be quite taken aback because they had no idea. that you felt that way. And sometimes when I say taken aback, they could be hurt. They could be feeling like, you never told me. And now you're claiming that you're unhappy, but why didn't you tell me the whole time? And they could be feeling quite, like I say, hurt, maybe even embarrassed or befuddled, because you might have just wanted them to do it on their own, and they are not that type of person. And so the other thing about this is that I would say there's this sense of, so well, let me just follow up on that. What I mean is, they had this term, I think it was from Games People Play, which is an old book. I think it's from the 60s. It was like kind of a pop psychology book. And I think that they had a term called cashing in your stamps. And they call it brown stamps. I think that's the same author, but I'm not entirely sure. But basically, if you're old enough, I mean, even I remember the tail end of the green stamps era, where we'd put green stamps in booklets and then get prizes. And so they have this term brown stamps, where it's just like all of the things. I wonder if it had to do with, being, collecting a lot of shit inside of you or something, like being mad at somebody because they're not doing what you want them to do. So you just build up these resentments, but you don't tell that person, why didn't you take out the garbage, or you never tell me that you love me, or whatever, things like that. But they just are seething inside. And if Scorpio, you have the moon in Leo, if you have the moon in Scorpio, this can be real, because especially with the, I'm not picking on moon in Scorpio, but there's a secretive aspect to emotions where the person collects their grievances sometimes. And sometimes people do this because they think that makes them powerful, which is crazy. They think that I'm collecting this laundry list of grievances, and then at any time I can just like drop them on that person and just kind of like read them the riot act. Okay, that could be what the Tower card represents, but what does that really do? And it could lead to the other person perhaps leaving. Even if they know that they didn't do those things, because they don't like the idea of somebody sitting there and resenting them all this time. So, to me, the Tower, if it has to do with relationships, it's engaging in that type of unproductive, destructive behavior, where it's just, having maybe poor communication skills, not knowing how to let the other person know that they have hurt you or that they have aggravated you. And with Leo, it could even be a pride thing of like, I'm not going to let them see me sweat. And it's like, but then they can't take it anymore. So when we have the Lovers card and we have the Tower card, it's really showing two sides to love. Maybe it isn't love at all. Maybe it is just lust. And, I just did something in my mind here. Both of these cards add up to the number 6. Oh, no. Yeah, right? Because, I'm sorry, forget that. That's not, the Tower card is actually a 7. A 7. And actually with the Tower card, that makes sense, because number 6 is a number of peace, and the number 7 is like a turning point, and it's also it can indicate even being quite solitary. So, however, in this particular case, you are with the Tower card. It isn't that you necessarily wanted to be alone. You may have, maybe that's why you didn't share your feelings, is that you were trying to keep the peace, and it doesn't work. You have to be able to communicate with a partner. If you can't, forget about it. It's just going to lead to an eventual blowout. And you know, the thing I want to emphasize though too is that when you've been with somebody for a long time, you can have, like, you know, fights. Don't get it twisted here. But I'm talking about when you try not to have fights and then it all comes out. But I mean, major disagreements, major arguments can be had and still be in a relationship with somebody. That the Tower is because the people can't honestly communicate with one another. That's the problem. And if you're dealing with somebody who can't communicate very effectively, it doesn't mean that person's a bad person. It just means that they may feel bad about themselves, and they don't know how to, and anything that you say in the form of a request or an observation, that they may take as I'm no good, and they just overreact about it. So it's important that if we are communicating something, that we do so from a place of sensitivity. And with the Tower, it's like getting fed up, and then you're just like, let it all hang out, and then that creates that calamity. So, you know, the Tower to me is like a pressure cooker, and it's like you lift the lid and it all just explodes. But if you just gradually shared how you feel, they would never rise to that fever pitch, is basically where I'm going with that. And then the third card we have is the Ace of Pentacles, New Beginnings. And I'm going with the relationship theme here, where it's like a new relationship with somebody. Yes, it could be of the earth element, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, or if not the sun sign, then maybe they have several inner planets that are in Earth, and they really complement you. They really stabilize you, because, you know, fire energy sometimes is uncontrollable. Think of what fire does. It just kind of gloms onto things around it, and it get, you know, fire sign people are very enthusiastic about life. So they do sometimes get a little bit out of control because they're just so passionate about what they're doing and what's going on that they can't, you could say they can't help themselves in a way. But it's just like that sense of, oh, I got to tell you my latest project or something like that. But with the earth, there's like a tangibility factor. So it's not just about the passion or the Harlequin romances. It's about, you know, a person who is able to really add value to your life. And I kind of don't like that term. I've been hearing it a lot lately about adding value, because it sounds almost like calculating, but I think you know what I mean. People that are going to contribute to your well-being and not detract from it or take away from it. So with the Ace of Pentacles, this could be a relationship that is long-lasting. Maybe you're in a relationship with somebody and it was like drama-filled. And because of that, you really fear getting involved again with somebody who is like that. And yet, you may not have to. I mean, you may be with somebody, you may meet somebody that is a stabilizing influence, although it may not be in the future, because I really am intending this to be what is happening to you right now. Because I'm trying to get away from, you know, the fortune telling and all that stuff, which I don't call myself a fortune teller. And looking at it from, do these cards feel like synchronicity to you? And if so, what can you learn about it? What is the difference? Can you see the difference between the Tower and the Ace of Pentacles, and how one is offering you maybe a lifetime of stability, and the other one is just this, you know, going out in a blaze of glory type of energy. But it's really not, because it's creating a lot of destruction in its wake. So let's look at the native spirit side of things and see if we can draw a parallel to some of these cards. Okay, I got this card before. I almost feel tempted to pick, you know what? I'm going to pick another card. You know why? Just because I am so tired of picking the same ones over and over again. I'm sorry. If ever you want to know what that other card meant, I can definitely do that for you. But I want something different. I want a little bit of variety here. I'll just summarize it. Spirit Keeper of the West, in case you felt a strong connection to that. They have all kinds of these cards. And it's about letting go of the old and transformation. So yes, I mean, the Tower card certainly would go along with that. And chaos brings positive change. That certainly is what... almost all change comes out of turmoil. Don't be concerned if there's confusion in your life. It will all work out. I'm going to be poised for some of you saying, you should have left it at that card. I don't want the trickster. I'm just going to read it. Things are not as bad as they seem. Something that seems bad may in fact be good, and vice versa. And that, you know, you can actually take any one of these cards and probably fit it into some aspect of the tarot. But I've said this before about the tarot, about the Tower card, that could be a blessing in disguise. This card encourages you to try to find humor or gentle amusement in seemingly difficult situations. It also encourages you to have irrepressible fun, step out of the mold. And one thing that they were talking about in Native American traditions, the trickster is often depicted as the wily coyote. And they say there's a lighthearted, fun aspect of the trickster, but there's also the caution to tread carefully because things are not always as they seem. Be discerning. What appears to be a good opportunity may in fact not be. The wonderful aspect of this card choosing you is that it offers the opportunity to step out of old, outmoded ways of perceiving yourself. The trickster allows you to see yourself in an entirely new way and asks that you step out of old routines and habits that might be keeping you stagnant. And this is especially important as a Leo because you're a fixed sign and habits are comforting to you. Familiar things are comforting to you. What I'm getting from that too is the idea of being involved with somebody like a narcissist who makes a very big deal about being this perfect person for you, this savior, this person who's going to, you know, make everything all better. And this is the kind of thing that people just gravitate towards because they're looking for somebody to reassure them that life is going to be okay. And these people know when you're hurting, when you're confused, and they take advantage of that. And yes, Leos can be vulnerable like anybody else. And sometimes you may be going through something and this kind of person can smell it out. And they are able to like go, wow, there's an easy mark. There's somebody that I can present myself as the perfect answer to all their problems. And then the Tower could be the dropping of the mask of the narcissist. And then you see, oh my gosh, this is who I was dealing with. And it can be quite shocking because you may have had no idea of what this type of person was capable of. And yet, and I'm talking about in terms of the trickster. And it can seem shocking to find it out. What if this person has a double life or something like that? And you thought, because of the Lover's card, you thought you were dealing with your soulmate or something like that. And it's like this unpleasant surprise. But by the same token, this could be liberating to you, because then you stop having a fantasy about what true love is. And maybe you have had kind of an adolescent attitude, Leo, that you need to kind of just drop like a bad habit. So, so anyway, and I think, I just want to say one more thing about that. With the Ace of Pentacles, that's why I was saying about the tangibility factor, because sometimes people are not very flashy. They're not very sexy in the overt kind of way. And let's take it as, I was going to use a man as an example, but let's say a woman. You could have a woman who dresses very plainly, and she doesn't have like a very flashy, charismatic personality, and yet she is very kind. She's very humble. So she doesn't like talk about herself all the time. She's genuinely interested in her partner and all that good stuff. And you can have, let's say she gets married to a man, and he just is brainwashed by these images of what a valuable partner is. And it's based on, this really distorted kind of almost like this porn or celebrity culture type of image. And if she's not quote unquote hot, or she's not the life of the party, then get rid of her. Or she's not good enough. And those types of people may get a very rude awakening, because they may find that this is the salt of the earth, and that they passed it over for something that was more of a flash in the pan. So the Ace of Pentacles could be like, you're a Leo. You may be attracted to that kind of fire, pizzazz, but the person may not be very stable. They may be flighty, kind of flaky. And maybe there's an earth sign person around you, Leo, that's just waiting for you to take notice of them, and you're just kind of hung up on the ones that are trying to be rock stars or something. So I'm just putting in that context as well. Okay, that's what I have for you. I hope that you enjoyed this. Take care. Bye.